end up being a slave later on. But he had that pit ministry, and he ended up doing later on, but they were jealous. And sometimes when you go through some things, men mean it for bad, but God meant it for good. And you know the end of the story, they did end up bowing down to him because he had some dreams later on, and they had that 7 years of famine, and they had to end up going to him, and he put them through. And then he found out his little brother came to him, and they ended up, they didn't have anything, and it was crying, and they did end up bowing down to him, but that's how God will restore some things. So this is how sometimes God will use things, because remember, even Jesus couldn't do any mighty works in his hometown because people get too familiar. They're not just in that Mary's boy, in that Joseph's boy. You know, sometimes we have to watch that people kind of put you in a box from where you come from. And you have to understand, just because you started somewhere, that doesn't mean how you're going to be the rest of your life. And you got to get your own self, and don't look at your own self as damaged goods. You might have went through so many times or something that you might not be able to share with anybody, but guess what? Everybody needs to know your story. They don't need to know your business. But just because you had a past doesn't mean that's your identity for the rest of your life. Amen. So, and Cain and Abel, guess what happened with that? You know, Abel had the good offering to the Lord, and Cain got mad and angry and plotted against his brother, and he killed his brother. And then God came saying, well, where's your brother? Am I my brother's keeper? And then he let him know that the blood crieth out from the ground. So, you know, God asks us questions. He already knows the answer. But that's another case of jealousy. Then we know about the story with the prodigal son. He wanted his inheritance early. And he went out and ended up eating with the pigs. Come on here. And the kind of the religion he was in, that they weren't even supposed to do that. But he had to end up going back to his father's house. And they greeted him and gave him the fatted calf. And his brother got jealous and say, you got the fatted calf. And he was upset about that. And they said, you never killed the fatted calf for me. And he said, well, you always had the opportunity. My brother was dead, and now he's alive again. You know, and then, you know, this is another story that I have is in 1 Samuel. We're going to look at the story of David. 1 Samuel 17, 19. So David's father had sent him to go send some provisions to his brothers. So 1 Samuel 17, starting at the 19th verse. They are with Saul and all his men of Israel in the valley of Elah, fighting against the Philistines. Early in the morning, David left the flock in the care of a shepherd, loaded up and set out as Jesse had directed. He reached the camp as the army was going out at his battle positions, shouting the war cry. Israel and the Philistines were drawing up their lines facing each other. David left his things with the keeper of supplies, ran to the battle lines, and asked his brothers how they were. As he was talking with Goliath, Goliath, the Philistines' champion from Gath, stepped out from his lines and shouted his usual defiance. And David heard it. Wherever the Israelites saw this man, they all fled from him in great fear. Now the Israelites had been saying, do you see how this man keeps coming out? He comes out to defy Israel. The king will give great wealth to the man who kills him. He will also give to him the daughter in marriage and will exempt his family from taxes in Israel. David asked the men standing near him, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God. They repeated to him what they had said and told him, this is what will be done for him who kills him. When Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard him with the men, he burned with anger and said, why have you come down here? And with whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? How conceited you are and how wicked your heart is, you came down to watch the battle. Now what have I done, said David. Can't I even speak? He turned away to someone else and asked, again, the same matter, hey, what's going to be done? And they answered him before. And David said, what David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. So David said to Saul, let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him. Now we know what happened with him, that David told Saul, I can't wear your armor. And he went on and got the 5 smooth stones and went on and hit Goliath in the middle of the head and took Goliath's sword. He cut off his head and held it up and just showed that he was the victor. So I'm just letting you know, sometimes when you go through something, it's not the end. So you got to know that you might go through a season of something, but it is not the end when you go through something. So you got to understand, I might go through a season of something, but it's not over until the large lady sings. No, anyway. 1 John 3:2 says, beloved, now are we the sons of God. And it does not appear what we shall be, but we know that when we shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that have this hope, let him purify himself, even as he is pure. And Romans 8:19 says, for the earnest expectation of the creation waiteth for the manifestations of the Son of God. Come on, sons of God. Are we ready to be shown? Are we ready to come forth? Come on here. Whole creation is waiting for us to take our place as the sons of God. Now are we the sons of God. So it's time for us to get in position and take our place. Amen. And be those mature ones and not keep waiting for somebody else to do that. We always looking for somebody always say somebody needs to. Come on, you are that somebody. Why are we always looking for somebody else to do something that God tell us to do? We say,